Picture this. You check your bank account and it says you're negative $36 trillion. Yeah, trillion. With a T. You'd probably faint, but somehow that's America right now. And here's the kicker. It's not even the worst part. Because if every country is buried in debt, who's the mysterious rich uncle collecting all the IOUs? Spoiler, it's not Elon Musk. Fact 1, everyone's in debt to everyone else. Let's start with the biggest misconception. People love to say America owes all its money to China. And yeah, China does hold around $750 billion in US debt. Sounds scary, right? But here's the twist. China itself is sitting on $18 trillion of its own debt. They're not Scrooge McDuck swimming in gold coins. They're swimming in IOUs. So who holds China's debt? Mostly their own banks. And those very same banks also buy US debt. Meanwhile, US banks hold bonds from Europe. And European banks? Surprise. They own Chinese debt too. It's like everyone's secretly Venmoing each other back and forth, but nobody actually has money in their account. Here's the best analogy. Imagine a group of friends out at dinner. Everyone forgets their wallet and borrows from someone else at the table. By dessert, you've got a circle of IOUs so complicated that no one remembers who owes who. That's the global financial system. Everyone's broke, but somehow everyone's also a lender. And when you add up that never-ending circle of IOUs, you get one mind-blowing number. Fact 2, global IOU, 300 trillion. Collectively, the world owes 300 trillion. That's not just huge, it's absurd. It's more than 3 times the size of the entire global economy. Imagine Earth as a person making $50,000 a year, but carrying $150,000 in credit card debt. That's us, as a planet. To visualize, $1 billion stacked in $1 bills would reach 100 kilometers high, basically the edge of space. $300 trillion could take you to the moon, and back 50 times. That's how many times humanity could rack up late fees with the cosmos. But here's what makes it weirder. This isn't a debt mountain. It's a debt carousel. The money doesn't sit still, it spins. The US borrows from China, China borrows from its own banks, Europe borrows from the US, and round it goes. Nobody ever gets off the ride, and nowhere is that ride crazier than in America itself. Fact 3, the debt circle. Here's the curveball. About 70% of US debt is owned by Americans themselves. Yep, Uncle Sam borrows from Uncle Sam, then pays Uncle Sam interest for the privilege. How does that even work? When you put money in the bank, it doesn't sit in a vault like a movie scene with laser grids. The bank invests it, usually in government bonds. Pension funds, insurance companies, even your retirement savings do the same. So when the government pays interest on its debt, it's basically paying you, and then you, through your bank or fund, turn around and lend it right back. It's like paying yourself with your own money and giving yourself a high five for it. Globally, it's even more twisted. Japanese savings fund Dutch projects. Dutch savings go to Brazil. Brazil's money flows into US bonds. It's like financial hot potato on a planetary scale. Except no one ever wants to be the one holding the actual potato when the music stops. So if this is all just one giant circle, why not just hop off and quit debt altogether? Fact 4, why we can't quit debt. Because here's the secret. Debt isn't a bug in the system. It is the system. It's the fuel that keeps economies growing. When governments borrow, they don't just hoard the money. They build highways, fund research, pay workers, and hand out contracts. That money flows to businesses, workers get paid, and spending increases. It's like caffeine for the economy. The only thing scarier than drinking too much is quitting cold turkey. And we've seen what happens when borrowing stops. Greece, 2008. Investors panicked and stopped lending. Overnight, Greece couldn't pay its bills. The government fired 1 in 4 public workers. Wages fell 30%, and the economy shrank 25%. It was like pulling the emergency brake on a moving train. Everyone flew through the windshield. This is why no politician campaigns on austerity. Nobody wins elections by saying, "Vote for me, I'll slash your job and raise your taxes." So the borrowing doesn't just continue, it becomes inevitable. But here's the catch. When you live on debt forever, the risks pile up fast. Fact 5. The hidden risks. Debt feels like free money until it doesn't. The bigger the debt, the more governments spend on interest payments instead of real stuff like schools, hospitals, or new infrastructure. Imagine working your whole life and realizing your entire paycheck just goes to paying off last year's bar tab. When bills get too high, some governments hit the panic button, printing money. It sounds brilliant. Just crank out cash. But printing money doesn't actually create new wealth. It just dilutes the existing pie. Everyone has more slices, but each slice is thinner, smaller, and tastes like cardboard. That's inflation, and in extreme cases, hyperinflation. Venezuela in the 2010s is Exhibit A. Prices doubled every few weeks. A loaf of bread that once cost 10 bolivars suddenly cost millions. People carried backpacks full of cash just to buy groceries. Banknotes were worth less than toilet paper. Literally, people used them as toilet paper. And developing nations face an even nastier trap. Most borrow in US dollars. If their local currency weakens, paying back those loans becomes way more expensive. Sri Lanka and Pakistan got stuck in this cycle, borrowing more just to pay the interest on old loans, like using a credit card to pay off another credit card, while the interest rate keeps climbing. That's the infamous debt trap. And when countries can't escape, they default. That's the government equivalent of declaring bankruptcy. Argentina has done it 9 times in 200 years. Every time, investors run, interest rates explode, imports vanish, and ordinary citizens pay the price. So the hidden risk isn't just in spreadsheets. It's in real people's lives, lost jobs, empty grocery shelves, and shattered savings. And when that risk gets too real, people look for something outside the system, something solid, shiny, and ancient. Fact 6. The gold rush comeback. That's when gold makes its dramatic re-entry, like a rock star coming out of retirement. Gold doesn't need a government's promise. It doesn't care about central banks, debt ceilings, or whether a country knows how to budget. It just sits there, heavy, valuable, and unimpressed by our financial chaos. That's why during unstable times, investors sprint back to gold. In 2025, gold prices are soaring, silver hit a 30-year high, and even mining stocks are surging. Why? Because when the financial merry-go-round feels like it's about to collapse, people want something they can actually hold in their hands. For thousands of years, gold has been humanity's fallback plan. Ancient empires used it, medieval kings hoarded it, and modern billionaires still buy it. When trust in governments fades, gold is the ultimate, in case of emergency, break glass option. Which brings us back to the big question. So if every country is in debt, who's the money owed to? The short answer, to all of us. We're all lending, borrowing, and reinvesting in one giant, chaotic merry-go-round. The question isn't if the system will keep spinning, it's what happens if it ever stops. If you found this breakdown as wild as the global economy itself, hit that like button, subscribe, and join me next time when we unravel the next economic mystery the textbooks don't explain. Because in this channel, money doesn't have to be boring.